Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and this one is going over my front-end pitch for my final project, which is just using xAPI statements through multiple choice questions in order to group people in different personality types. So what this pitch is, it's just going to be the front end of how this would work. And I organized it into just some bullet points, just usefulness, what it does, the insight that people will gain from it, and then how xAPI is used through this process. So I found this picture online, which pretty much described what I was looking for, which was useful for visualizing what I was actually trying to put out. And it basically has four different personality subsets, which you could make into pretty much almost an infinite amount of different varieties of these, but not actually infinite, but a lot of different, like you could be type AB, AD, ABC, ABD, like that. But so first bullet point here, why it's useful. It can show people a lot about who they are as a person, first of all, but it can group people, like-minded people in a work setting, so it'll improve their workflow. You can just see what your personality type is, visualize what it is instead of just thinking what you are. So it can help in that way a lot. So usefulness is there's a lot of different things that can be useful from something like this. And what it actually is doing, so what it does, it takes your answers from predetermined questions that we'll have before, and then it'll group you into a predetermined group, A, B, C, D in this point, but it can also, pair a group. If you're 50-50, then you'd be type AB for that instance, but it pulls the data from the back end in order to pair the groups together. So I'll get more into this down in the xAPI uses, but basically it's just gonna have your data and it'll know what you are based on your data, and it can group you into work groups and other things like school groups, different social groups, like for if you want similar, if you want people with contradicting personalities, if you want to pair them, you could do that. So it can be used in a lot of different ways, not only in the work setting or in the school setting. But what insight people are going to gain from it, I already talked about a little bit up here for what it does, but you'll get to know their personality type, understand why they act how they do, so it'll help them better visualize that. You know what to look for when you look for a like-minded person. So without knowing exactly what you are, it's hard to kind of look for somebody similar, but if you wanted to do it that way, you can do that, and you can also visualize your own personality, like I said before. But then down into the xAPI uses, which is probably the most important part of this project. So basically what the xAPI statements are going to be doing as you're answering these questions, you have a lot of different options here, but what we're basically focusing on is the actual answers for the questions and like how they respond to those answers, of course. And so whenever they answer the questions, it'll store it into the SQL database, and it'll show the different tables, and it'll basically just have that data for us to pull from whenever we want to. And it also stores who they are, so it'll be in the database, like what person for future. I think I talk about it down there, but it'll keep them, the person that answers it, into the system, so whenever somebody else would answer similarly or the same, if we wanted to, we could pair them together or something like that. So when the data is stored, we can pull from the database, show which of the types they fit into most or infinite multiple categories equally. I talked about that a little bit up here, but this is going into the actual xAPI uses. So this is after it's stored into the database already, and then we're pulling back from it, but we talk about that more in the back end video. And then we pair them and display them who answered the survey. Similarly, I already talked about that. So that's basically what the front end is going to look like. So we can use this ABCD types, and we can visualize it with, you can do it in any sort of way. You can either put it in just tables, you can have it in like some sort of graph if you wanted to, or just pair people like that. So I think it's been over 5 minutes now, so I hope this explains the front end significantly, and hope to see you in the next video.